Ever wonder how Manchester United pulled off a stunning win against Manchester City? Stick around because this match was a masterclass in tactics, composure and precision. The Manchester United versus Manchester City match unfolded exactly as I expected, from start to finish. Even before the game began, once the starting lineups were announced, I believed that if United opted for an attacking approach, it would be risky. But if they played defensively, they would at least avoid losing early and wait for opportunities to win in the second half. I knew that if United defended deeply, the first half could end 0-0, and they would have a chance to score and win in the second half. United's physical advantage, combined with their bench strength, played a crucial role. Before the match, Michael Carrick mentioned they would attack, and indeed there were moments early on where they pressed forward. However, the pressing seemed more for show, as the full-backs rarely pushed up together or advanced into the opponent's half, so the danger was minimal. The only significant threat came from Diogo Dalot's high tackle, which the referee let slide, and that bit of luck was crucial. Early on, it was clear United lacked rhythm. For example, their first corner mirrored Arsenal's lethal corner tactic, curling the ball into the near post area close to the goal line. Harry Maguire's run was an exact copy of Gabriel Magalhaes's movement, avoiding the defenders and positioning himself perfectly near the goal line. However, Maguire's header was slightly too high, hitting the crossbar. Speaking of hitting the woodwork, in the second half, Amad Diallo's right-footed shot from a counter-attack also struck the post. Even if that shot had been on target, Gianluigi Donnarumma would have likely saved it. Donnarumma was excellent today, but even he couldn't prevent City from losing. Ultimately, United executed the right structure, tactics, targeted strategy, and substitutions perfectly. Around the 20th minute, United began to fully commit to their defensive shape. In every match, the early stages, say the first 10 to 20 minutes, are when teams might test the opponent's pressing. But after 20 minutes, you can clearly see what the team's intentions are and what they've prepared for. United gradually solidified their defensive approach, initially pressing sporadically, hoping to catch City off guard. The moment United fully committed to their defensive shape, I remarked at the 20th minute, United have indeed settled into a defensive structure, and it's a good one, a 4-4-1-1, so they'll win, but they'll have to wait until the second half. Of course, there were already counter-attacks that came close in the first half. As the second half progressed, things fell into place. Once they took the lead, I said, Bryan Mbeumo, as good as he's been, needs to be substituted soon to maintain the tempo and avoid conceding late. Exactly as I predicted, within a couple of minutes, Carrick made the substitution I had in mind, bringing on Matheus Cunha. I noted that Cunha's record as a forward hasn't been great, but today he was the right choice because his speed suited the counter-attacking approach. During the live broadcast, I said, "Don't think, just burst forward," and he did, leading to the second goal. Shortly after, I mentioned Casemiro needed to be substituted, and he was. Fans even commented that Carrick and I were in sync. Throughout the match, we witnessed several near misses, 3 potential goals, one that was literally toe-poked, and those shots that hit the woodwork. It was evident that while Diogo Dalot might have been sent off early, United's luck has generally been poor. However, Carrick did everything right, and even without luck, they secured the win. This match proved one thing: if you play well, if your structure and fundamentals are solid, and if your tactics are spot on, you can minimize the impact of luck. In my post-match analysis, I tried to use some interesting talking points as a springboard to answer questions and dissect the Manchester derby. Why? Because it makes it more engaging. Everyone is discussing whether sacking Ruben Amorim and replacing him with Carrick was the right move. Amorim's fans have several points, such as claiming that many managers have beaten City. Ten Hag, Amorim and Solskjaer all have. Some even argue that Amorim's 5-man defense has beaten City before, so even without him they would have won today. Others suggest that if the African players had returned earlier or weren't involved in AFCON, Amorim shouldn't have been sacked. There's also the point that today's goal scorers like Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, who played well, were brought in by Amorim, so he deserves credit. Some fans argue that Carrick's defensive, counter-attacking approach is easy to execute and that he shouldn't be overhyped. These questions are valuable and lead us to analyze the entire derby. The first question, if Amorim was still in charge, would playing a five-man defense and counter-attacking have led to the same result? Let's compare the five-man defense's compactness with the 4-4-1-1 used today. While a five-man defense can also be a good structure, given United's current midfield setup, it might not have addressed some of City's key attacking positions. Have you noticed City's recent strength lies in signing Antoine Semenyo and adopting a champion mode where they stretch the play wide with double wingers? A five-man defense could widen the backline slightly to slow down the opponent's wingers from reaching dangerous areas near the goal line. However, a five-man defense would require either a 5-2-3-1 or a 5-3-2 formation. If they opted for a 5-3-2, positionally it might look dense, but with United's personnel, you'd see Ugarte partnering Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes, but Casemiro, who isn't the strongest defensively anymore, and Bruno, whose defensive awareness isn't great, would struggle. Using both Ugarte and Casemiro would leave no room for midfield rotation in the second half. If you wanted to keep Ugarte on the bench, the midfield would feature Kobbie Mainoo, Casemiro and Bruno, which still lacks strength, especially since the 5-3-2 doesn't allow for midfield support on the flanks. If the forwards drop back, there'd be no one left for counterattacks. Additionally, a five-man defense aims to block half spaces, but City's current attack doesn't target those areas specifically, so it wouldn't guarantee security at the top of the box. In contrast, Carrick's 4-4-1-1 today was more targeted and suited United's current midfield setup. It didn't require Bruno to defend much, allowing him to focus on organising counter-attacks. The two midfielders dropping back provided solidity, and the structure allowed for both defensive solidity and counter-attacking opportunities. It proved Carrick's adaptability, unlike Amorim's rigidity. I'm not saying the five-man defense against City wouldn't work. Teams with different midfield setups, ones without Bruno and with more box-to-box midfielders, could pull it off. However, it doesn't suit United, and forcing it was Amorim's downfall. This match also proved that playing a four-man defense in big games can work, and you don't necessarily need five defenders. Against lower-tier teams, a four-man defense provides more attacking options. It's more advantageous than a five-man defense when facing compact defenses. Amorim's fans argue that he would have won today's match too, or that sacking him was a mistake. But that's untenable. Amorim wouldn't have used Kobbie Mainoo. Yet, Mainoo's performance today speaks for itself. In the FA Cup match where United were eliminated, Mainoo was the best midfielder on the pitch. His ability to control the midfield was evident, even though he couldn't play a full 90 minutes due to being benched for half the season and injuries. Today, he showed he could hold possession under pressure, turning defence into attack seamlessly. Despite not being world-class, he's the best midfielder United has at retaining possession. Amorim's 3-4-3 system requires only two midfielders, and Mainoo wouldn't have been strong enough there, highlighting Amorim's inflexibility. Carrick's four-man defence with three midfielders suits Mainoo perfectly, something Amorim failed to recognise. Today's match showed that Mainoo is a rising talent, and Amorim wasted a homegrown player's potential. As for the argument that Amorim would have performed better with the African players back earlier, the truth is that even with them, Amorim struggled. For example, when United lost to Everton at home despite being a man up, Bryan Mbeumo, Amad Diallo and Matsuo were all in the starting lineup, yet they still lost. Amorim's sacking came before the City match, during a period where he consistently dropped points against lower-tier teams. Even with the African trio, they couldn't beat Everton or other weaker sides. Why would AFCON participation have saved him? Amorim's dismissal saw interim manager Carlo Ancelotti switch to a four-man defence. immediately breaking down compact defenses. Compared to Amorim, Carrick's 4-4-1-1 was more targeted and effective against City's strengths. Amorim's five-man defence worked against Liverpool earlier in the season, but that victory was less convincing. City's poor form today played a role, but United's approach was more effective. Last season's win over City, using a five-man defence, was a fluke, whereas today's win was convincing, with multiple clear chances created. Carrick's tactical flexibility stands out. Today's 4-4-1-1 can easily transition into a 4-2-3-1, allowing for adaptability. Amorim's rigidity meant he rarely changed his approach beyond swapping wingbacks. Carrick's decision to start Bryan Mbeumo up front instead of Benjamin Šeško was bold but effective. Šeško's height advantage might have caused problems against City's shorter defenders, but Mbeumo's speed was better suited for counterattacks. Carrick's preparations ensured United bypassed potential issues, and Mbeumo excelled as a focal point, initiating quick transitions and supporting the wingers effectively. On the defensive side, United's coordinated pressing and positional awareness were evident, showcasing Carrick's thorough preparations. For a young coach, his first match against City demonstrated composure and tactical acumen, resulting in a win despite lacking luck. Comparing Carrick and Amorim, both are young, but Carrick's flexibility contrasts with Amorim's inflexibility. Carrick's decision to bench Matheus Cunha today was wise, given Cunha's erratic performance against Brighton. Amorim's inability to recognise Cunha's flaws against compact defences highlights his limitations. Carrick, on the other hand, saw the issue and made the right call. Amorim's fans argue that he deserves credit for signing players like Cunha, Mbeumo and Dorgu, who performed well today. However, whether these were his preferred signings is debatable. Reports suggest Mbeumo wasn't Amorim's first choice, as he prioritised midfield reinforcements. More importantly, even if these were his signings, he didn't utilise them effectively. Against Everton, despite having these players, Amorim couldn't secure a win. These players thrive under the right tactical setup. Amorim's 3-4-3 wasn't conducive to their success. Therefore, even if Amorim signed them, his inability to utilise them negates any credit. As for claims that Carrick shouldn't be overhyped, it's essential to define what constitutes excessive praise. Singling out Carrick's counter-attacking tactics and targeted strategies for this match doesn't equate to overhyping him. I haven't claimed that Carrick will consistently win now or excel in all types of matches. Unlike Amorim's fans, who hailed him as the new Ferguson after beating City last season, my praise for Carrick is cautious and based on this match alone. Ultimately, Amorim's sacking was justified. His tactical rigidity and inability to adapt were his downfall. Carrick, while still an unknown quantity, has shown promise, whereas Amorim's limitations were evident. Looking ahead to United's next match against Arsenal, their physical advantage and experience with the 4-4-1-1 structure give them an edge. However, Arsenal's form and set-piece prowess make it a tougher challenge. While securing a point isn't impossible, United's counter-attacking threat could prove crucial. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the analysis, don't forget to hit like, comment and subscribe to show your support.